Hello and welcome to a special stream, the very first of maybe over 40, where we are going to explore the different prefectures of Japan, starting with Hokkaido today. It's an idea I've had for a long time, an idea that I kept sitting on, not being sure of if I would really do it. But I decided it's time I do something like this. It's going to be maybe a bit of a long stream. We're going to go through multiple things. We're going to start by watching some videos. I've got different videos about like the history of Hokkaido, the nature, and then the food. Then we're going to read maybe stuff we don't know from Wikipedia. Let's see what anime take place in Hokkaido. I've also got this website with like some of the landmark of Hokkaido. I've got a site with like celebrities from Hokkaido, and I've got Google Map, which we're going to end with that by just exploring some of the interesting places on Google Map maybe. This is the idea I had for this stream. The format might change, the next time we do a stream like this. This is kind of like what I came up for this first one. It doesn't sound like a terrible structure, right? Obviously I might have some previous knowledge, from all the anime, manga, games that I checked out about Japan. But I'm still sure we're going to learn a lot today. So it's both about me learning stuff and you guys maybe, if you're interested. Again, I'm not one to do too many streams with like very much of a structure, but this time I thought this would be good to do. Next time I have a poll in the chat, so people will be able to vote. So next time we'll be between Kagoshima, Yamanashi, Kagawa, and Fukushima, different prefectures from different areas of Japan. And maybe I'll try to do this once a week, maybe every Saturday. We'll see. Again, it's really something that I've been thinking of doing, and I think it could be fun. Like, trying to learn quite a bit. It will enhance my ability to enjoy like anime, manga, music, and different media from Japan by actually knowing some of the history, some of the location, So I thought this would be a good idea. Hopefully it is. I don't know. And again, this is the first one, so maybe the structure will change a little bit. I guess we'll see. I might choose different website next time or something, depending on people's suggestion. But everything I've got today is linked in the description. So all the videos, the Wikipedia page, the My Anime List interest stack about the anime in Hokkaido. We have this website and this one. So that's the gist of it. That's really the gist of it. We're going to explore Hokkaido. What do I know about Hokkaido? It's cold. I know that much. I'm a big fan of the anime Golden Kamuy, so obviously I know it's a lot of like wilderness. I know about the Ainu. I know about quite a bit of the Ainu custom thanks to Golden Kamuy. That's one thing. I've also played a game, Yakuza 5, Ryu ga Gotoku 5. It takes place in, one of the characters is in Sapporo, I think. Saejima, in Sapporo. It's not the best town in the game, but it's still interesting. Top of my head, I think that's it. That's probably like as much as I know. And to be honest, I also know a little bit of like, where is it? I think this says of Island right here, which belong to Russia. But in Golden Kamuy, at some point they have to go over here, right? So, I know this a little bit. That's all I can say. But again, for the structure of the stream, we'll start with watching some videos. As always, you might find timestamps if you're watching the VOD, so you can skip to what part of the stream interests you. You can find a link to my Discord if you want to follow me. I post stuff, you can post stuff. The link to my stream amount where you can donate to support me. The link to my Patreon, you can support me monthly and vote in different things that I do, as well as request video reaction. Okay, I think that's the gist of it. So I found a couple videos myself. The first two are history. Then we have a video about like the nature, the fauna and stuff like that, right? The wilderness. And then we have two videos about the food. That's what I have for today. So we're gonna start with that. Let's do it. So the first video is this one. This is the Colonization of Hokkaido by Unseen Japan. Came out 5 years ago. And it seems to be like an history video, basically. There might be a bit of overlap between the two history videos I have, but it should be interesting nonetheless. Let's learn Let's learn. Can I perhaps have Japanese subtitles?
Far to the north of Tokyo, beyond the shattered dome of Mount Bandai, beyond the scattered islands of Matsushima in Miyagi Prefecture, the rough-hewn bays of Iwate, and the axe-handle-shaped Shimokita Peninsula in Aomori, and across the free...
Wait, just give me a second as I'm trying to find the way to put on Japanese subtitles, even if it's auto-translate, right?
Freezing straits of Tsugaru, there lies the island of Hokkaido. Fringed with high mountains and blessed with wide open plains perfect for pasture, with fast flowing rivers, vast wetlands, dark forests, and deep winter snows, the island, the world's 21st largest, marks the most northerly extent of modern Japan. Its distinctive shape looking for all the world like the horned head of some dragon or seahorse floating atop the long body of Japan's largest island, Honshu. Along with that island, as well as the two more southern and somewhat smaller islands of Kyushu and Shikoku, Hokkaido serves as one of the four main islands of Japan. These four islands create the famous shape of the country, perhaps one of the most easily identifiable geographical silhouettes of any state in the world.
It's pretty easy, yeah.
And yet Hokkaido, now considered so indisputably, integrally Japanese, has only truly been part of the Japanese mainland for the past 150 years. Before that, before the Japanese colonization of Hokkaido, the mysterious island was a frontier beyond the frontier, a faraway and indistinct place peopled by those known in Japan by many names: Ezo, Ainu, Emishi, all of which meant some variation on a similar theme: barbarian. Indeed, the name Hokkaido itself is a modern creation, first applied to the island as it was incorporated.
Which is interesting because I thought Hokkaido was, I mean, I don't really know the history too much, but I thought Hokkaido was conquered around like a couple hundred years ago by, not by Nobunaga, but who was it after Nobunaga? Ieyasu? Didn't Ieyasu conquer Hokkaido? Or am I crazy?
Incorporated into Japan in the Meiji era. For far longer, it was known by the same name as the so-called barbarians who occupied it. Ezo, a word made up of two kanji with the interesting meaning of shrimp and barbarian. Ezo, as the land was for so long known, has been inhabited for at least the past 20,000 years. Yet the people we think of as the modern Japanese, an ethnicity now usually known as the Yamato people, and who in past times referred to themselves as Wajin, only first arrived to the island 800 years ago, and even then only in small numbers. Their population limited to the southern tip of Oshima Peninsula, nearest to their native Honshu. The rest of the vast interior of Ezo remained a foreign land. So, who was it who lived on Ezo so long before the arrival of the modern Japan?
Man, it's awesome to see the real historical picture again. I'm sure like a lot of you are a big fan of the anime, and if you haven't, definitely watch Golden Kamuy or even read the manga. Actually, like a little bit of a story, but 10 years ago now, it was in 2015 or 16, Golden Kamuy was still pretty new. The manga, and I had read some of the early chapters and I really liked it. And so in 2015 or 16, I made a video in French on one of my channels. It was like a 2-minute video, basically recommending the manga, right? And now, right now, the final season of the anime is airing, which I will be reacting to when it's finished. But it's kind of crazy to think it's been like a decade already.
Japanese.
Let's learn.
Hey there everyone, and welcome to Unseen Japan, the Japan you don't learn about in anime. We focus on long-form, in-depth content about Japanese people, history, and culture, with the goal of helping educate people about the real Japan. Our work is largely based on original Japanese sources, which we do both to minimize distortion as well as to bring you, our audience, the views and concerns of Japanese people in their own words. We also work to fight misconceptions and prejudices about Japan that exist in the English-speaking world. I'm Noah Oskow, and I'll be your host for this episode.
Nice bereich.
The author of the original article this video is based on.
Also ein Artikel.
Japan's historical encounters with indigenous and foreign peoples to its north has been a major subject of my study and authorship for the past year, so if you'd like to go further into the subjects covered here, Japanese dealings with Russia, the settlement of Sakhalin,
I might actually use more videos on the channel if they have about other like prefecture, you know?
and conflict with the native Ainu, Nivik, and Oroks, or the short-lived samurai republic of Ezo, feel free to click the links below. And if our mission and content interests you, go ahead and hit subscribe. Otherwise, back to the history of the colonization of Hokkaido.
Let's learn. Before the coming of the
The
Japanese.
most distant past of the island are, in many ways, lost to our modern knowledge. How they arrived and what became of them remains a hotly contested mystery. Some were the Jomon people, a Neolithic tribal hunter-gatherer society who lived in scattered settlements throughout the islands of modern Japan for a period of over 15,000 years. While the largest concentration of the Jomon lived in the central and northern areas of Honshu, some from among their tribes migrated slowly northward, eventually settling in far Hokkaido around 8,000 to 6,000 years ago. This long Jomon period continued until around 300 BCE in Honshu, where the arrival of another people called the Yayoi, perhaps from the Korean peninsula, and the introduction of rice agriculture eventually saw them and their way of life disappearing into the mists of time. The people who emerged from the Yayoi and Jomon cultures became the Yamato, the modern Japanese ethnic group. In Ezo, however, far beyond the reaches of the incipient Yamato culture, the Jomon lifestyle continued for some hundreds of years more. Meanwhile, another group of people arrived in Ezo from the north, crossing the frozen sea of Okhotsk from the large island we now call Sakhalin. These Okhotsk people arrived around 600 CE, fishing the northern shores of Ezo and hunting sea mammals. The Jomon people had meanwhile morphed into a culture now called the Satsumon, and they and the Okhotsk people lived side by side on the island, the Satsumon hunting the deep interiors of the island while the Okhotsk plied the cold seas. During the 12th century, the Yamato further south in the imperial Heian court in modern Kyoto were seeing the end of an age of high art and poetry. The age of the samurai was just beginning, and the far reaches of northern Honshu were, at least momentarily, still inhabited by another seemingly non-Yamato people, known as the Emishi. But the Okhotsk people in Ezo seem to have disappeared. Whether they were absorbed into the Satsumon culture or whether they retreated across the sea to Sakhalin or beyond is not known.
That would make
Meanwhile, the
sense.
Satsumon culture seems to have been influenced by yet another arriving people group. The Emishi, the native inhabitants of northern Honshu, whose origins are also shrouded in mystery, had long been in conflict with the northward advancing Yamato people. Through a series of wars and incursions, the Emishi had slowly seen themselves become surrounded by Yamato. Though some Emishi decided to join their power to the Yamato settlers, intermarrying, trading, and living side by side with them, others found themselves...
I mean, were the Emishi like an actual... Like, did they have an actual government and everything? I thought it was just like tribes, basically, like, you know, random tribes.
pushed farther and farther north, eventually fleeing across the Tsugaru Straits to Ezo. While the Emishi living in Honshu eventually faded into the overall Yamato population, their separate culture and identity extinguished from history, the Emishi in Ezo may have found themselves integrating or perhaps influencing the Satsumon culture that flourished there. Exactly what became of the Emishi, the Satsumon, and the Okhotsk is unknown. But in their place, perhaps as a continuation of all three peoples, emerged the indigenous people of Hokkaido who still live on today, the Ainu. Speakers of a distinctly non-Japonic language, one perhaps on a continuum with the Jomon or Emishi languages, the Ainu also appear vastly different from their southern neighbors. Indeed, early Western visitors to Ezo perceived them as a sort of lost Caucasian people. Americans tended to liken them in appearance and custom to Native Americans.
Which is interesting.
Their men wore huge, burly beards, and their women tattooed the area around their mouths in a distinctive black ink. The Ainu of the time lived across Ezo.
I think that's from what I've learned from Golden Kamuy. Hopefully I wasn't misled. You know, like the bigger the tattoo, the more not value, but the more prestige it has, I guess.
Though, with separate communities in Sakhalin and the Kuril Islands northeast of the Azo mainland, speaking different dialects. They hunted the interiors of their island homelands, fished the seas,
there's actual
and
footage.
traded with
That's
people
cool.
to the islands even farther north, and with others on the nearby Asian mainland. To the Ainu, Hokkaido was their ancestral homeland, the Ainu Moshir, as said in their tongue. To the slowly encroaching Yamato Japanese, it was Azo, a foreign land of so-called hairy barbarians. What exactly Azo was to the Yamato remained hazy, as the term referred to all the lands of these barbarians, including Sakhalin and the Kurils. It was not until hundreds of years later that accurate maps were made of the area that distinguished between these various landmasses.
Isn't there like a story of one guy who was really motivated to like map Japan? So he wanted the government to fund this trip because it would take a long time, right? But they didn't want to. So he started doing it on his own for years. He would walk around Japan, making a crazy detailed map. And eventually, after like years, while he was still doing it, the government was like, okay, this is pretty good. Let us give him some money so he can do it. And I think he was the first guy to really make like the best, most detailed, most accurate map of Japan. I forget his name, but it's an interesting story.
Legends remain of early Japanese Buddhist priests who had gone to Azo to proselytize to the Ainu, but of what became of them, we know not. Needless to say, their religion did not take root, as the Ainu animist religion remained strong. Though some Yamato trading outposts were probably set up on the island as early as the 700s, the first real Yamato population to settle in Azo only arrived in the 12th century, as some seeking refuge from wars and famine in northern Honshu crossed the Tsugaru Strait and set up small communities in the southern parts of Oshima Peninsula, where the rich fisheries off the coast supplied them with food and trade. Others came to pan-Azo rivers in search of elusive gold, while the newly established Kamakura shogunate, which ruled over Japan from 1185, began sending convicts into exile in this distant foreign land.
Exile.
These
Okay.
small Yamato enclaves could perhaps be compared to the earliest English settlements in North America, like Roanoke and Jamestown. Although the Yamato here had much easier access to their homeland, with Honshu just across the short Tsugaru Strait, rather than an entire ocean.
I was literally about to say earlier, like, what is the distance between the islands? Okay, 20 kilometers. So, looking on a map like this, you might think it's not that big, but yeah, you're not swimming that. I mean, some people would be, but it's still quite a bit. Because I was gonna say, like, I'm surprised that the people of the main island really didn't have much of an idea of what's going on in Hokkaido. Like, is it really that far away that they can't cross to just go check it out? But I mean, if you had a boat, it's probably not that far. But yeah, maybe they just think like it's too much of a wild land. Like it's icy. It's maybe not worth trying to to go or something.
Ocean away. Like those colonies, these new Yamato transplants had to learn to subsist in a new land where their usual crops might not grow and where the local climes were more extreme than they were used to. They found themselves both coming into conflict and simultaneously completely reliant on the local peoples they encountered there. People who vastly outnumbered them and whom they considered barbarians, but who knew the lay of the land and how to survive there much better than these initial interlopers could dream of. Trade with the Ainu was key to these settlers' lives in Azo, but their relationship with them was tenuous enough to require the building of simple wooden forts and barricades to ward off Ainu attack, complete with surrounding Buddhist cemeteries. Ainu taboos regarding the dead were thought to prevent them from coming too close. For their part, the Ainu's interactions with these southern foreigners were just as complicated. While intrusions into their land and the disruption of important salmon spawning grounds by Yamato hunting for gold in local rivers was irksome, the Ainu also came to depend on goods they could receive via trade with the Yamato.
So there was already this thing at this time, like looking for gold. The beginning of Golden Cowboy is literally that, right? So people looking for gold in Hokkaido, in the middle of like Ainu territory.
Rice, sake, and advanced metalworks brought across the Tsugaru Strait.
That's like in
As
1905
trade
or
with
something.
Yamato became more important, Ainu lifestyles shifted, just one example being the abandoning of a tradition of Ainu metalworking in favor of superior wares from Honshu. Another item they came to treasure was Japanese lacquerware, which became a traditional item for the storage of family valuables. But desire for healthy trade was not enough to prevent real conflict from breaking out between the Ainu and the foreigners in their midst. While trade between the two peoples had started off more or less as that between equals, the Yamato began to see the Ainu more as a lesser people, bringing tribute to a more powerful neighbor. Abuses of power by the Yamato and unfair trading became more prevalent, and Ainu resentment grew in turn. As has happened throughout history, these unfair power dynamics between indigenous and foreign interloper made violence almost inevitable.
Classic. Violence erupts.
The first major war between Ainu and Yamato on Ezo broke out in 1457, known as Koshamines War, or Koshaman no Tatakai. What started as a simple trade dispute regarding a sword was enough to fan the fires of resentment into a full-blown blaze of violence. A Yamato blacksmith, enraged by an Ainu customer's displeasure with the quality and price of the short sword he had ordered, plunged the bespoke dagger into his young customer's body.
Well done.
Seeking revenge, Koshamine, an Ainu leader, led groups of infuriated Ainu to attack the 12 fortified Yamato outposts on Oshima Peninsula. They managed to defeat the Yamato defenders at many of the...
It's like, that escalated so quickly, right? I mean, it's like, I would have understood if he's like, okay, I'm gonna take revenge on the blacksmiths, but no, it's like, let's attack everybody.
Forts, sacking them and razing the outposts to the ground. These Ainu victories were not enough to drive the Yamato off the island, however. While 10 of the 12 forts fell to their attacks, one fort withstood the Ainu barrage under the stout leadership of one Takeda Nobuhiro, a young samurai associated with the locally powerful Kakizaki family. Successfully defending the fort, he led a counterattack against Koshamine's forces. After various battles with many losses on both sides, Nobuhiro finally managed to ambush Koshamine, felling both the Ainu leader and his sons under a hail of arrows. The Ainu revolt had ended, and with it their greatest chance to beat back the advancing Yamato. Nobuhiro became one of the great Yamato heroes of the history of Hokkaido, and the Kakizaki officially invited him into their family. Eventually, he became the head of their clan, which itself came to supplant the local Abe clan as the leaders of the Yamato settlers on Ezo. In 1516, the Ashikaga shogun granted the Kakizaki the right to tax ships coming in and out of Ezo harbors. As the Kakizaki consolidated power in their area of Ezo, more skirmishes and battles with the Ainu came at intermittent periods. A peace was formed in 1551.
But again, I assume it's still like, it wasn't really like a war, it was more like, because again, maybe I'm wrong, but my idea of the Ainu is more like tribes and, there's no like common army or something. So it was more like, tribes and guerrilla warfare and stuff like that, right? It was probably not like massive open field battle or something.
And the Kakizaki at first worked to implement fairer rules regarding the Ainu to prevent further conflicts disrupting their trade. In 1560, Toyotomi Hideyoshi, fresh off his conquest of the Japanese mainland and the unification of the country, bestowed upon the Kakizaki the right to administer their part of Ezo as a fief. He admonished them to use their border holdings to protect Japan from the northern barbarians at their doorstep. The newly empowered Kakizaki changed their names to Matsumai, constructing a castle in their capital of the same name. Thus began what is now known as the Matsumai era, a period of over 200 years where the Matsumai clan held sole power over their part of Ezo. In many ways, the Matsumai holdings were a colony in the true sense of the word, an extension of foreign power on a distant land far from that power's capital.
Yeah, because they still don't really recognize, like, they're not saying this is ours yet. It's like, interesting.
We're a minority group administered land occupied by a majority indigenous group, taking advantage of the resources of the occupied territory to send it off to the mainland, all the while privileging themselves over the native inhabitants of the area.
Matsumaeda.
Despite all this, Ezo as a whole was not truly part of Japan, at least not yet. The Matsumai created an official delimiting line between the area where Yamato were allowed to settle, this area being called the Wajinshi, which occupied just part of the southern Oshima Peninsula, and between the vast majority of Ezo that was to be considered the frontier lands occupied by the Ainu, called the Ezochi. All trade with the Ainu and the Ezochi was to go through the Matsumai and be taxed by them, giving the clan a monopoly on wealth created via Ainu trade. Any fishing or trade outposts in the Ezochi were also to be made only with Matsumai permission, and no Yamato were allowed to winter in the Ezochi. Nonetheless,
Okay.
fishing outposts from this area eventually developed into many of the major coastal towns and cities of modern Hokkaido. Despite initial attempts to keep good relations with the Ainu, the Matsumai could be heavy-handed in their treatment of their indigenous neighbors.
When isn't it like that? I always say it, but like, isn't colonization every time like that? I think when I said that in one video one time, someone had an example of a country who did like much more light colonization and reaped a lot more benefit by not really being heavy-handed like that. I forget if it was the Dutch or something. But obviously colonization is 99% of the time heavy-handed, right? I mean, it's just part of the process and, you know, the mindset, I guess.
They opened a fishing outpost in Kushiro in 1635. The Matsumai forcibly moved an inland group of Ainu to the site in order to use them as manpower for their fishing exploits. This sort of wanton use of the Ainu barbarians, almost perceived as non-humans by the Yamato, resulted in more outbreaks of war between the colonizers and the colonized. In 1668, a charismatic Ainu leader named Shakushain launched a war against the Yamato for their interference in an ongoing rivalry he had with another Ainu clan. He gathered other clans to his cause, using anger at Yamato unfairness as a rallying cry. His army assaulted Yamato towns and took Yamato ships at sea, killing as many as 400 Yamato people. The war became serious enough that the Tokugawa shogun in distant Edo, modern Tokyo, commanded his northern lords to send troops across the sea to assist the Matsumai in their battles against the Ainu, something which shows the importance the central government put on the Matsumai domain as a frontier fief. Shakushain and his forces were eventually routed, and he surrendered. During a celebratory feast following the peace treaty he had signed, Shakushain was murdered in cold blood by the victorious Matsumai soldiers. Yamato domination was once again asserted.
I mean, they had no chance, I guess. Yeah, from what it sounds like, it's random tribes which sometimes rise up to fight, but they're not any kind of army or anything like that, right? I mean, it's not even actually like guerrilla warfare in the same way I was thinking of it, because, you know, a lot of the tribes are probably like, you know, not really, they don't really feel that allied with each other, I imagine, right? So they're not like all rising together, right? So yeah, it's really not enough to resist, you know.
In 1716, the Matsumai lord was conferred the official title of daimyo, recognizing his suzerainty over the Wajinshi and bringing the area even closer into the mainland Japanese system. The shogunate's interest in the Ainu continued. In 1717, saw the creation of an office for Ainu affairs located in Ezo, which was supported by taxes levied on local fisheries. The fisheries themselves were the lifeblood of the Wajinshi, with huge amounts of caught herring being sold farther south as a treasured source of quality fertilizer. Ezo herring fertilized up to 50% of Japanese rice fields by 1740.
Whoa.
In order to increase profits, the Matsumai would subcontract their trading posts around the island to interested merchants, who would then use or even force nearby Ainu to work as seasonal laborers. This system, called Basho Ukeoi, became the standard feature of the unbalanced Yamato-Ainu relationship for well over 100 years. The 1700s saw the Yamato population in their section of Ezo grow, as did their abuses against the Ainu. Conversely to the Wajinshi population boom, the indigenous population continued to fall, their communities ravaged by new diseases and emaciated by the diminishing stock of deer and fish, as the Yamato population took more of the island's resources. In the year 1600, there had been approximately 50,000 Ainu on Hokkaido, as opposed to only 12,000 Yamato. A century later,
I didn't realize it was that small. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't sure of like the numbers, but I really didn't think it was that small. That's a difference. Interesting.
In 1700, the Ainu were only barely holding on to their majority. Their population decreased to only 30,000 Ainu against 20,000 Yamato. Yet another 100 years onwards, in 1800, there were only 20,000 Ainu, while the Yamato population on the island had grown to 30,000, meaning that by the turn of the 19th century, the Yamato now outnumbered the Ainu in their own homeland, even if those Yamato still mostly lived in the geographically smaller area of the Wajinshi. The final major Ainu uprising occurred in 1789, spurred on by horrific mistreatment of Ainu in the east of Ezo under the Basho Ukeoi system. Bands of Ainu raided eastern trade posts and towns, killing up to 70 Yamato before the revolt was put down. 37 Ainu, captured and held as instigators of the revolt, were executed. This was the end of major armed Ainu resistance to the Yamato.
They have no chance, yeah? Yeah, of course.
It was around this time that the Ainu were replaced as the source of major Yamato concern in these northern borderlands. The frontiers of Japan and Russia came into closer and closer contact between the years 1770 to 1813, as Russian exploration of their newly acquired Far East melded into the Japanese northern frontiers of Azo, including the poorly mapped and still mutually mysterious areas of the Kurils and the large island of Sakhalin.
Yeah.
Russians and their ever-growing population centers in Siberia hoped that Japan would prove to be an apt source of trade, the products of which could more easily be brought to Siberia via northern Japan than from distant St. Petersburg or Moscow.
That's a crazy long
Missions to Azo in 1778 and 1779 managed to meet with Matsumai officials, but this was during Japan's long period of official isolation, which is often called sakoku in modern literature.
I see.
And the Matsumai, ultimately bound by the strict isolationist rules of the Tokugawa shogunate, simply directed the Russians to trade with the Ainu and specifically decided locales in the Kurils, or to make the long sea journey south to Nagasaki, where perhaps they could trade via Dejima, the only site of allowed, although limited, trade with Western powers. Following this suggestion, other Russian officers...
It's definitely something that I need to learn more about, like, you know, the whole isolation. I mean, I think everybody knows about it, but I don't know about it in depth, the reasoning, the logic. Was it actually beneficial? Because, you know, it sounds kind of bad to be so closed off that you don't even allow trade for the most part with other countries. But maybe it's actually a good thing because you really don't allow them any kind of into your country and so they leave you alone, right? So, I really need to learn more about that part of history eventually.
Later went to Nagasaki in search of trade. However, they were kept waiting in the harbor for months on end, disallowed by Nagasaki officials to even set foot off their ships. After this long period of waiting, they were finally rebuffed, causing their leader, Rezanov, to send ships to attack Japanese outposts in the Kurils and Sakhalin. They burnt the outposts to the ground and also attacked 2 Japanese ships at sea. These attacks touched off a period of great paranoia regarding the Russians and incited panic in Azo. Troops were sent to outposts throughout the frontier to ward off attacks, and a system of bonfire beacons was installed from Cape Soya to Matsumai to warn the capital in case of Russian incursions.
That's cool. What I can think is the Return of the King, right? The fire like lighting up. You know, Gondor called for help, and Rohan would answer.
None more came. The situation with this new neighbor to the north was of extreme concern to the shogunate on the mainland, leading them to take interest in the island of Azo. They sent expeditions to the island to see the state of Matsumai control there, and came away disappointed. Worried that Matsumai mismanagement of the Ainu would lead to the resentful among them to side with the Russians on the occasion they decided to make a move on Azo, the shogunate made a decisive move. By 1799, to make a move on Azo.
What am I looking at? I thought this was a bear, but look at the face. I don't know what that is, but it's kind of creepy. Is that okay?
Azo, the shogunate made a decisive move. By 1799, they took over direct control of eastern Hokkaido, installing troops in the trading posts there, effectively militarizing the border area. To the south, in the Wajinchi, they set up a magistrate in the town of Hakodate, minimizing Matsumai power in their own domain. Soon after, they forced the Matsumai to relinquish the domain entirely, moving the lordly family away from Azo, and placing all power in the Wajinchi in shogunate hands. 200 years of Matsumai rule seemed at an end.
I was gonna say, I guess they have to accept it. I mean, they can't really fight back.
The shogunal magistrate in the new Azo capital of Hakodate tried various schemes to begin developing the island, hoping to populate it more thoroughly with Japanese, thus heading off any Russian ideas of conquest of the island under the guise of it being some sort of unclaimed land. Samurai farmers were brought in to settle some of the more northerly parts of the island, but the cold Azo winters defeated them. As the 19th century moved on, more and more foreigners found their way to Azo, whether on purpose or not. The age of whaling brought to the seas surrounding Hokkaido American and British ships in search of the numerous cetaceans for whom the waters were home. Whaling ships in search of provisions, as well as foreign castaways washing ashore, meant that the people of Azo, both Japanese and Ainu, kept on encountering foreigners despite the sanctions against such meetings imposed by the shogunate. Despite Despite these worrying developments, the shogunate eventually withdrew from direct rule of the Wajinshi for lack of funds. The financial situation for the ruling Tokugawa family was becoming more dire with each decade of the 19th century. The shogunate returned the Matsumai to power as defenders of the Ezo frontier. However, shogunate returned the Matsumai
as the 15th Tokugawa shogun. Some very different style between all of them.
to power as defenders of the Ezo frontier. However, the Matsumai rule could not last long. Unbeknownst to either them or the shogunate, the age of the samurai, end of Japanese isolation, was coming to an end.
And then to the Ainu homeland.
American President Millard Fillmore had sent Admiral Matthew C. Perry to Japan under instructions of opening up the country to foreign trade.
Open the country.
When Perry's so-called
Stop having it
black
be closed.
ships, powerful steam-powered vessels of war brimming with cannon, the likes of which Japan had never seen, steamed into Uraga Harbor in 1853, the age of isolation came tumbling down. By the time Perry returned to Japan a year later as promised in his ultimatum to the shogun, the Tokugawa government had decided to capitulate to foreign demands. They opened up two ports for American trade, one in Shimoda in modern Shizuoka, and the other was in Hakodate in Ezo.
I see.
Both locations perhaps having been chosen to keep the Americans as far away from central power as possible. In fact, Perry himself keep the Americans.
I was gonna say, because it seems like kind of that's the reasoning, right? You want them kind of far away, but it seems kind of a waste because the trade comes in Hakodate, and then they have to take boats again to get them to Aomori and then into the country. Or I guess maybe not Aomori, but it seems a bit like of a longer route, but I get the point.
As far away from central power as possible. In fact, Perry himself had requested access to Matsumai, which he believed to still be the capital of Ezo. However, it was refused him. The shogunate claimed it was controlled by its own lord, and thus was beyond the powers of the central government. Perry sailed to Hakodate to ensure the port met his standards, which it did amply. He called it one of the best harbors in the world, likening it to Gibraltar. The townspeople fled as the ships approached, and Hakodate officials, claiming ignorance of the Tokugawa decree to open Hakodate to the Americans, resisted their landing in the harbor. Perry prepared a bombardment, but was spared the need to act when officials acquiesced. The townspeople remained hidden during his initial visit, and Perry's sailors saw not a single Japanese woman their entire time in Hakodate. They did, however, encounter Ainu, who Perry's men described as under the absolute will of their Japanese taskmasters. Thus began Hakodate's history as point of contact between Japan and the outside world, fitting as it was for a major port on land that was only just starting to be considered anything other than a frontier. Russia soon had its own treaty allowing trade there, and they began to make their mark on the city. Ezo officials began investing in farming to help cater to foreign seamen, especially with the raising of cattle for beef. In fact, Hokkaido remains a major domestic source of beef and milk for Japan to this very day. Meanwhile, foreign attention towards the Ainu worried Japanese officials, who were concerned about potential Ainu revolts. From 1855, Japanese settlers were officially allowed to move into the Ezochi lands previously reserved.
It's awesome to see that there's some old footage like this. I mean, even in Golden Kamuy, which I know I keep talking about it, but that's my most knowledge about the Ainu, right? There's literally an episode about like a cameraman who's trying to get footage, and in the episode it's almost like saying that in real life it happened. There was some actual filming of the Ainu. It's really interesting.
The Ainu and those specially designated military and business enterprises. The full colonization of the Ainu lands had begun, and the more Yamato who moved into the land, the less the Ainu could practice their traditional ways of life, and the less likely it became that they could ever overcome the Japanese in a revolt. Like so many other settlement enterprises throughout world history, the land of the Ainu was deemed empty by the Japanese government, ripe for full-on colonization. The Ainu, long dominated by the Yamato but still generally free to live in their own land, would soon be surrounded and pushed out of even that.
Last version of the samurai.
To put it mildly, these were tumultuous times for Japan. Hardly a decade after Perry forced the Tokugawa shogunate to open up Japan to him and an ever-growing list of foreign countries, the samurai of Satsuma and Choshu domains far in the south of Japan rose up in revolt against the 250-year-old shogunate. Intending to return the emperor in Kyoto to real power and to restore Japanese honor vis-a-vis the foreign powers they perceived the shogun as practically kowtowing to, their revolution saw the weakened Tokugawa regime falling far faster and more easily than could ever have been anticipated. This brought major change in Eizo as well, as the fleeing shogunate loyalist forces led by Admiral Enomoto Takeaki sailed to the island, defeating the Matsumai in battle after battle. Matsumai itself and Hakodate fell to...
I literally, when I was trying to make a thumbnail for this video, I was looking for like landmarks to use in the thumbnail, and you can see that I've used the Sapporo TV Tower and I think a temple that I cannot remember the name right now, but I also found this, which is pretty cool, this Goryo-kaku fort. It looks really cool. I'd love to visit that place.
Enomoto's army, and for almost a year's time, Ezo became a separate breakaway state from the Japanese mainland, referred to by modern scholars as the Eizo Kyowakoku, the Eizo Republic. Enomoto's entreaties to be allowed to maintain the samurai way of life and to develop Eizo under the leadership of a Tokugawa heir were denied by the new Meiji government, now ruling the Japanese mainland. His brief era as president of his so-called Samurai Republic saw new attempts at organizing the island and outreach to the foreigners and Ainu in his new domain. But whatever changes he hoped to carry out were cut short by the invading Meiji army. The major battles that occurred at sea and on land between the rebel samurai forces and the Meiji were deadly, leaving two-thirds of Hakodate in ruins by the time they'd finished. Enomoto finally capitulated.
I knew about the Satsuma Rebellion, right? And how it was crushed and destroyed, but I didn't know about the Eizo Republic. That's interesting.
The age of samurai on Eizo was over.
Eizo eclipsed Hokkaido ascendant.
After the rebels and their short-lived republic had been put down, the Meiji began the final and full incorporation of all the main island of Eizo into Japan. The residence inside the star-shaped fortress of Goryo-kaku that housed the Republic of Eizo government was demolished, and the reconstruction of Hakodate was begun. To bring the land fully into modern Japan, the Meiji needed a new name for the island that would separate it from the connotations of Eizo, a land of barbarians, a frontier that was beyond the knowledge and scope of most Japanese. Matsuda Takeshiro, an explorer who had covered more ground on Hokkaido than perhaps any other Yamato Japanese, and who had befriended many Ainu and even learned their language, submitted 6 potential names, including Kai Hokudo, meaning Ocean Northern Route, and Hokkaido, Northern Kai Road. Matsuda, who had respect for the Ainu, had chosen the Kai in his Hokkaido to represent their people, as he somewhat erroneously believed this was the word that they used for the island in their own tongue. The government liked the sound of Hokkaido, but preferred the kanji meanings of Kai Hokudo, and rearranged the former to be read like the latter. Thus Hokkaido, Northern Sea Route, was born. Eizo, both as the homeland of the Ainu.
It's one of those things where like it's kind of messed up to change the name after so long, but also like the name was kind of like bad in the first place, right? Like calling people barbarian. So it's a good thing to change the name, maybe, even though it's probably kind of weird to change the name after like so long, right? So many hundreds of years.
And as a breakaway samurai state was no more. The Meiji began work on newly planned capital for their new Hokkaido, to be named Sapporo. Unlike southern Hakodate, so close to Honshu and deeply entrenched in the lands that had been part of the Yamato Japanese settlement for centuries, Sapporo was deep in the former Eizochi, and thus traditionally Ainu, territory. An inland capital farther north and more central to the whole island indicated the permanent ownership of the entire land now claimed by Japan. Hakodate was consigned to the Eizo past. Sapporo was the future, one in which this newly named Hokkaido was simply another part of the homeland of the Japanese Empire. A postal service was established in Hakodate in 1872, and the telegraph service came in 1875. A ferry route soon plied the waters between Yokohama and Hakodate, and another ferry departed Aomori on the mainland every 4 days, crossing the Tsugaru Straits for Hokkaido. Only decades earlier, an explorer from Honshu hoping...
There's no bridge, right, between... Like, they've never built a bridge between the mainland and Hokkaido, have they? Is there any plan for that? Will it make sense? Or is there a bridge? I don't know.
To see Eizo would have to wait for months simply to receive approval to venture into this borderland. As perhaps the final signal of just how much Hokkaido was now being considered fully Japan, the Meiji Emperor himself visited the island in 1876. He met not only with his Yamato citizenry on the island, but even a group of Ainu, and attended an Ainu dance. He returned again to the island in 1881. Both times, the people greeted him with great fanfare.
Interesting. Hokkaido, finally Japanese.
The story of Hokkaido continues with the tale of its development by the Meiji state. But this is a story worthy of its own detailed examination. By this point, the island once known as Eizo had been completely colonized and annexed. So much so, in fact, that it is now simply taken for granted as part of the Japanese mainland.
Until this video, I didn't realize that, I didn't know this history, right? I always thought that, it was just part of the whole set of island of Japan for a very long time, right? Not the way that it actually developed, with the slow colonization over hundreds of years.
Development saw a huge wave of immigration to the island as Meiji officials and hired foreign experts figured out how best to endure the frigid winters and make use of the vast lands of Hokkaido. Thousands of former samurai, including a group who had been part of the Republic of Eizo, destitute and without purpose now that their way of life was outlawed, moved to Hokkaido. The so-called Tondenhei, former warriors turned farmers, founded many modern Hokkaido towns that exist in one form or another until this day. Mining, agriculture, and fishing industries flourished. Such agricultural developments nearly drove the Hokkaido deer to extinction. The Eizo wolf, one of only 2 species native to the Japanese archipelago, was not so lucky.
Yeah.
Is that an actual?
Is that an accurate look of it? It looks very creepy. Like the mouth looks much deeper than expected. Yeah. The Eizo wolf is such a sad thing. It's a sad thing in any country and any place where human interference led to the extinction of a species, right? It's sad no matter what. Yeah. Europe, we had the same thing, right? I think in a lot of Europe, we kind of eradicated wolf, but eventually, as time passed and government and people realized that's kind of a bad thing, slowly we've been reintroducing it. It's always interesting, this kind of thing.
Archipelago was not so lucky. The Ainu were subsumed by their colonizers. Their identity as a separate ethnicity and culture actively repressed by the increasingly imperious Meiji state as it began to stress a uniquely homogeneous Japan into which the Ainu could not fit. Yet today, they live on in Hokkaido, perhaps 30,000 among a population.
Oh, they're still... Okay. It's not as bad as I thought. I was expecting the count number to be way worse, considering the stat you showed earlier, where it used to be 50k and it kept descending. So there's still about 25,000 Ainu people, okay? Versus 5 million, Japanese people, but it's still kind of it's still a number, the way of life, I guess, is not fully dead or anything,
Of almost 5.5 million. The Ainu language, like the Eizo wolf, is now thought...
Kayano Shigeru, first Ainu in Japanese parliament. One of the last native speakers of Ainu. Oh. Wait, so you mean there's 25,000 Ainu, but they don't really speak classic Ainu anymore? They speak Japanese?
Extinct, having recently lost many of its last native speakers.
Okay.
Serious efforts to revitalize their culture are underway, however. In 1947, after World War II, but still during the American occupation period, Hokkaido was made into a full and equal prefecture, on the same level as the other 46 prefectures of Japan. Ironically, towards the very tail end of the war...
So I guess I'm starting this series of streams about the prefecture with the final one, right? Like the last one to become a prefecture. It is the 47th, right? And probably came on much later. Interesting. That wasn't on purpose. When I decided to do this stream, I just went to Wikipedia, and the first one was Hokkaido, so I was like, okay, I guess I'll start with Hokkaido.
The island had barely avoided invasion and potential annexation from Russia. A fear strikingly similar to the one that spurred the central shogunate government to incorporate Eizo more firmly into Japanese suzerainty over 150 years earlier. The aims of the Tokugawa shoguns of the time have now been carried out. Hokkaido has become irrevocably Japanese.
Mega interesting, yeah. I mean, that's the point of this film, but I can already say I learned a lot. Great narration, great script. Very nicely done. Nice source. I really didn't know
Alright everyone,
so
hope
much
you
of this.
enjoyed learning about how Hokkaido became the integral part of Japan it now is. It really is a beautiful and unique place with a separate history that deserves its
We are the samurai. Wait, from the game, we are the samurai?
own attention. Like I said earlier,
I guess I'll pause here. This is just the final thoughts of the channel. Okay. I mean, right away I can tell you, yeah, I didn't know so much of this. There's quite a few things that I'd love to learn more about. You know, like the early interactions, stuff like the very short-lived Ezo Republic of the Samurai, right? There's a few things like that I'd definitely like to learn more, yeah. And again, I feel like I've learned quite a bit about Ainu culture from Golden Kamuy, and you know, some might say it's a bit silly, right? And it is a very silly piece of manga anime, right? But it's also one that, you know, it's a good way to make people interested in learning about something like this, right? Because obviously I can't lie that I might not have really cared to go out of my way to learn about Ainu culture by, you know, reading a Wikipedia page or something, but in some crazy anime about like crazy people doing crazy things in the middle of like historical context and culture learning, I guess it makes me kind of care to learn about it, you know. And there's a lot of interesting stuff about the Ainu culture. I mean, you could say the same about any native and indigenous culture. It's always interesting, the tradition and stuff like that. I really like the relationship with bears, for example. It's quite unique. So yeah, very interesting video. We've learned quite a bit, I would say. I mean, I have. Great video. Learned a ton. I'm glad because, as always, when I do a stream like this, you know, I pick a video. I can't pre-watch it, right? So I pick it at random and I hope it's good. So I'm glad this one was good. And maybe I should check out more from this channel. Do they still upload, I wonder? Let's take a quick look. Unseen Japan. Let's see. 2 months ago, yeah. Oh, Kitano Takeshi, the complete filmography. Watched every single one. Last year I was doing that. I was trying to watch all of his movies and I watched everything from Violent Cop to the Doll one, I forget. And then I was like, they're getting a bit mixed, so I kind of skipped around and I went to the 2010s Yakuza movie that he made, which I'm already forgetting the name of. They were fine. Okay, well, I might watch more from this channel, yeah. Okay. So yeah, this was a really good, like, long-time history video. I have a second video about Hokkaido. I don't know if it will cover the same thing. If it does, just skip around a little bit and let's see what it covers. So this is all of Hokkaido, Japan, by the channel Trip Company Min. 1 year ago.
My name is Trip Company and here is Kushiro Marshland, Hokkaido. If you plan to travel Japan, you may heard about this island. And also you catch Hokkaido is very wide. It's 60% of England. But many tourists just visit Sapporo and its nearby place. Finally, you get a question. So what's out there? This video is for you, a general Hokkaido guide. I will tell you almost thing of this island from south to north, west to east. Yes, it's time to discover this wild northern island of Japan. Let's go.
What is Hokkaido?
Hokkaido is the one of the 4 main islands of Japan. The name means Northern Sea region. It's very far north in East Asia and is heavily influenced by the sea. So it's the one of the snowiest areas in Japan. But surprisingly, it's not that far north compared to Europe. The European...
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's really like, again, there's only 20 kilometers between the mainland Japan and Hokkaido, and yet such a different weather, right?
cities with similar latitudes to
Marseille. I was born in Marseille, if you're interested. It's at the very south of France. And I used to live couple hours away from it, like a bit up in the south. So yeah, and I can tell you that, it's not very cold. It doesn't really snow down there. I mean, it might snow like toward the peak of a mountain, but not really that much. Right now I live like at the top of France, in Normandy, and it did snow quite a few times, like right now in the winter, so it's interesting, yeah. Like, it's not that north technically, but it kind of is, I guess, with how much snow it's getting.
Sapporo or Rome and Marseille. What an interesting our planet. And this island is so big. It's about 65 the size of England and twice the size of the Netherlands. But in Japan, it's only 22% of the country's total area. On the other hand, the population is really small compared to the area. The population is about 5.3 million, which is just over 4% of Japan. And over 40% of the population is concentrated in the Sapporo metropolitan area. The
Makes
rest
sense.
of the island is pretty much empty. As a result, Hokkaido travel destinations can be categorized into three. The first is the big city, Sapporo. Almost tourists of Hokkaido visit Sapporo. The second is small cities and towns.
I probably would have to visit it, even though, I've never, I've always thought, like, if I go to Japan, where would I go, right? There's so many places where I'm interested to go, and it's less about it being, like, a popular tourist place, or more, like, because, I like it from, like, an anime, a manga, a movie, or something, or a game, and Sapporo is a good example, right? I mean, I wouldn't go to it because it's a popular tourist destination. I would go to it because Yakuza 5, the Yuga Gotoku 5, right? I have played a game in that city. I've explored a little bit of that city in a game, and I'd love to see the same street in real life, right? That would be the reason for me to go, which is maybe a bit stupid, but, that would be my motivation to go to specific places, right?
Scattered throughout the island. Some of them are quite large, over 300,000 people, and some are just villages. There are lakeside or mountainous onsen towns and ski towns. It's not easy to get around at Sapporo, but there are many places that are accessible by public transportation. People go to these places depending on what they like. The last is wild nature. It is a really big area, but it's not easy to get to, so it's not a big part of the tourism. But the scenery is absolutely stunningly beautiful. So that's an overview of traveling in Hokkaido. Now let's
See, like, the left side looks familiar, like this kind of, this place I think is literally in Yakuza 5, yeah.
take a look at each region of this huge island.
Central region.
Central Hokkaido in Japanese is called Do-o. It means the center of the region. It's made up of the Ishikari Plain on the east and the mountains to the west. Ishikari Plain has Hokkaido's largest city, Sapporo. Also, it's Japan's fourth largest city. The Western Mountains has lakes and small towns in between.
Look at
Sapporo
that.
is a planned metropolis with a short history. Because of this,
Yeah.
the city is modern and straightforward.
I mean, from the last video we watched, I'd also be pretty interested in Akodake, wait, I already forgot the name. You know what I mean, right? I'd be pretty interested in seeing it since it was the capital for a long time before Sapporo.
The center of the city is Hodori Park, which is beautiful in both summer and winter.
I think this is where, like, in Yakuza 5, there's a mini game where you can do snowball battle, basically.
If you go up to the top to the tall Sapporo TV tower, you will get a great view of this straightforward city plan of Sapporo. The nearby clock tower is another of the city's landmarks, and one of the few remaining modern relics. Not
That's
far
cool.
to the south is Sasakino district.
It
It
is
is
so
one
well.
of the largest nightlife districts in Japan. The area is bustling with tourists all year round. The Nika whiskey sign here is the last landmark of Sapporo, along with the TV tower and clock tower. But straight parks and busy streets are not the end of Sapporo. From the observation deck at the top
Wow,
of
look at
Mount
that.
Moiwa, you can get a really great view of this city. There's Nakajima Park and Maruyama Park, both close to the city center. In the summer, it's a normal park, but in the winter, it's really beautiful when it's covered in snow. The first food you should try.
I learned a lot. I mean, I I learned about Hakodate, which used to be the capital. I learned a lot about the Ainu. I learned a lot about I learned about the Ezo Republic, the Samurai Republic. I didn't know about that. I learned a lot of things today already.
In Sapporo is miso ramen. This ramen is not very old, but it has a lot of local flavor. Miso is Japanese soybean paste, and its flavor is impressive. Don't forget Genghis Khan too. It is grilled lamb and vegetables on an iron plate. The taste is amazing. The final dish is soup curry, another Sapporo specialty. It's characterized by its Southeast Asian flavor, and its ingredients are still in their original form. Coincidentally, they all taste much better in winter. Otaru is located about 30 kilometers northwest of Sapporo. The Otaru Tunnel is really famous here. Warehouses along the canal and the modern buildings of Sakaimachi Street, they are keywords for traveling in Otaru. What I recommend to eat in Otaru,
the building had a little bit of a western kind of look.
Otaru is hanmiage. It is old-style fried chicken. Other seafood or dessert are popular in other regions too, but hanmiage only exists in Otaru. On a similar distance, on the other side, is New Chitose International Airport. Hokkaido is very big, so there are many airports all over the island, but this is the main gateway of Hokkaido. There are many things over the island, but this...
I see something. Snomiku. Yeah, I see Snomiku over there.
This is the main gateway of Hokkaido. There are many things to do at the airport, such as character shops and ramen street, so even the 2 or 3 hour wait is fun. Noboribetsu is located on the south coast of central Hokkaido. The city itself is pretty ordinary, but the main part is a hot spring town a little further inland. Noboribetsu Onsen is very famous. The main attraction is Hell Valley. You can understand its name directly. With so many people, there are plenty of ryokans and the other things to do in the area. A bear park, a folk village, a walking path. Hot Spring of Noboribetsu is the best choice for a quick trip to Hokkaido. Beyond Noboribetsu is another small city called Muroran. The view of the Cape of Earth and Tokarisha Observatory is spectacular. 2 huge lakes above Noboribetsu. Lake Toya is to the west and
I know Lake Toya, but I don't know why. It's probably from anime, but why do I know Lake Toya? There must be a reason.
Lake Shikotsu is to the east. The 2 lakes are far apart and not really related, but each has a different and unique landscape.
Wow.
Shikotsu is more majestic and Toya is a bit more rustic, but both are great places to hang out. There is Mount Yote on the northwest of Lake Toya. At around 900 meters high is a beautiful mountain that often referred to as a mini Fuji. And the area around Mount Yote is home to some of the best skiing in Hokkaido. Niseko to the west and Usutsu to the east. Great snow conditions, great mountain views, easily access to the airport, so a lot of foreign peoples come here. The most expensive ski resorts in Hokkaido are all here too, especially in Niseko. The last part in the central Hokkaido, it is Shakotan in the northwestern corner of the region. Its accessibility is by far the worst in the central Hokkaido, but Kamui Misaki is the best view in the region. Especially the color of the sea is so beautiful and clear in Shakotan, so people call this color as Shakotan blue.
That's very nice. Okay. I did a lot of good options to go to.
The tail of the island is southern Hokkaido. It's called Donan as Japanese. This area doesn't have much of presence. It's a neighborhood that's rarely mentioned as if it doesn't exist, except
Again, I said before, but I wonder if there was ever a plan to build a bridge between mainland and Hokkaido. You know what? I kind of want to Google it. It's a random thought, but a bridge between Hokkaido and Honshu, I guess. There's the second tunnel. Okay. So there's an undersea tunnel. I see. Okay. Naruhodo. Because I guess you can't make like a bridge of like 20 kilometers, yeah. Asaikawa, Zoo, Ramen, Lamb, Ram, Meat. Abashiri region, yeah. I know that from Golden Kamuy. Snow Festival, Sushi, the northernmost place. Goryo, Kaku. It's a pretty cool fort. Milk, Sapporo, Clock Tower.
Neighborhood that's rarely mentioned as if it doesn't exist, except Hakodate, the center city of southern Hokkaido.
Hakodate and
It's the
Manchester.
best historical city in Hokkaido. Japan opened 5 ports when they started to modernize, and Hakodate was the most northern of them. There are many modern style buildings more than Otaru. And this is not the end. Hakodate's night view is considered one of the best in Japan, along with Kobe and Nagasaki. The daytime is just as amazing too. There are also unique local specialties. Hakodate Shio Ramen with chicken broth. Shio means salt. Lucky Piero's unforgettable hamburger. Of course, being a seaside town, the seafood is basically of high quality. This is also the northern end of the current Shinkansen line.
That's a very long nose, Mr. Shinkansen. Where's your nose so long? What are you hiding in your nose?
If you take the Shinkansen from Tokyo, Hakodate is the final stop. It's over 250 kilometers.
So it does go. The Shinkansen probably goes in an underwater tunnel. Okay, I see. Yeah.
Tokyo, Hakodate is the final stop. It's over 250 kilometers from Sapporo by road, so it's not an easy place to get to. But Hakodate is worth a trip at least once.
Look at that. Northern region? No. Hakodate and Manchester, yeah.
Northern Hokkaido is called Tohoku. It's pronounced similar to Tohoku, north of Tokyo, but it's different. Tohoku means east and north, and Tohoku means north of the region. There are 2 main tourist destinations, near Daisetsu-san and Wakanai at the northern tip. The vast center of northern Hokkaido is not very famous. Asaikawa is the second largest city in Hokkaido. It's the only other city besides Sapporo with a population over 300,000. The city has 2 main contents. The first is Asayama Zoo, the best zoo in Hokkaido. Many people come to see the penguin walk in the winter. The second is Asaikawa's unique shoyu ramen. This is the one of the 3 major ramen in Hokkaido, along with Sapporo miso ramen and Hakodate shio ramen. It's made with a blend of seafood and pork from broth and seasoned with soy sauce. It's both refreshing and hearty. Totally recommended.
Looks good. I think the thing for me is like, I've often said it, right, but I'm not a big fan of seafood. So like that's the thing I'm scared when I go to Japan one day. It's like, if I'm not gonna like a lot of the food because I'm not really into seafood, yeah. The sea between Honshu and Hokkaido doesn't belong to Japan because they go through some Russian submarine and maybe have nuclear weapon. Japan can't let nuclear in Japan. Okay, I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Best noodle dish in Hokkaido, in my opinion. BA and Furano are the most popular day trip destinations from Sapporo. It is one field that stretches south of Asaikawa. It is surrounded by Yubari Mountains on the west and Daisetsu-san National Park on the east. The content here can be categorized by 2 different standards. The first is field and mountain range, and the second is summer and winter. The combination of field and summer is farms and flower gardens like this. The normal farms are in everywhere, and the flower gardens are few. Shikisai no Oka, Pantomita, Lavender Garden, and others. The combination of mountain and summer is the blue pond. In winter, it's frozen white and not so pretty. The combination of field and winter is this snowy landscape. It's fantastic, especially when you can see the big snowy mountains in the distance. And the Christmas tree, and Mary's tree. I think the trees in the field are definitely pretty in the winter. This Whitebeard Fall is the combination of mountain and winter. Ninguru Terrace is also beautiful, and the scenery inside the mountains is even better in winter. There are many other beautiful mountains in summer, but the scenery of winter is rare. There are also some tourist spots on the other side of Daisetsu-san. There's a cable car that takes you directly to the top of the mountain, but the most unusual scene here is the hot spring town of Sounkyo. Sounkyo is like a winter wonderland where everything is frozen. Wakanai
That's
is a
pretty cool.
native of the Tohoku region. It's a very small city with a population of 35,000. The area around here is gently rolling hills, but it's too cold to farm. So the people here are mainly involved in dairy farming. The scenery is gorgeous and it's not very populated, so it's a fun place to drive around in the car.
Looks a bit like
If you
England.
take the limited express train Soya from Sapporo, you can get here directly without any transfer. The city's own highlight is the North Breakwater Dome. It's a strange looking dome,
Whoa.
and some people take pictures of it. Further north, on the
That's kinda cool.
Shapu, there are some cheap seafood restaurants. You can have a set of only rice bowl like this for only 2,600 yen. There's also a small aquarium, a monument to the cave, and hot spring nearby. If that's all there is, there's really no reason to come to Wakanai. But there are two destinations that connect with it. The first is Cape Soya, east of Wakanai City. It's known as the northernmost point of Japan. The cave itself is quite ordinary, but many people come here for
These days, snow disasters are too much. Like 50 people died buried in snow. I just saw the news of that recently. Yeah. Hokkaido, Niigata, and Aomori are dangerous. I guess the weather is getting worse and worse everywhere in the world. It's kind of crazy.
its significance. Other than that, it's not easy to enjoy the scenery around Wakanai without a car. But the hills of Soya Cave, which are served by buses, are a great opportunity for public transportation travelers. And there are two islands west of Wakanai,
Rishiri and
Rebun.
Rebun.
They can be reached by ferry from the port. The scenery of Mount Rishiri is similar to that of Mount Fuji, and the color of the sea under these islands is really pretty. It's not as much as Shakotan, but it's crystal clear for the north.
It's a nice place. I mean, I guess there's really like not as much to see condensed is what I understand, but there's still some stuff to see. Yeah? I mean, you know, I would probably go to some of the crazy views. Yeah. Eastern region, no.
Eastern Hokkaido, or Doto in Japanese, is the wide area beyond Daisetsuzan National Park. This region is explained by its enormous scale. The plains are vast, and the marsh seems endless.
Wow.
Mountains and lakes are huge. It's where Hokkaido's nature is at its best. But the cities are relatively unattractive. This area is wide, but sparsely populated.
The Four Islands where Russian lives. I didn't learn about that, but I think I know the one above. I mean, I think I know already more or less what it is, yeah.
And natural.
I mean, I've got the map right here. I don't know about 4, but I know, like, you mean like, so like this part, right? And then this part right here. I think is what you mean. And maybe these two right here, yeah.
The railroads are bad, so I highly recommend to rent a car. I want to start here, Mikuni Pass. This is the gate which you will encounter when you go down from the eastern side of Daisetsuzan National Park. In my opinion, this is the best road in Hokkaido. If you're traveling by a car, you shouldn't miss it. After Mikuni Pass, you will enter the Tokachi Plain. It is Japan's premier agriculture and dairy region.
It looks crazy how perfectly, like, everything is like rectangular or square, right? And it's all like so perfectly farmed, you know, like it's almost like Minecraft, right? I mean, the farmers here were like, you know, they would make great Minecraft player. I can tell you that much. That's perfect Minecraft block.
Drive and drive, but fields never end. If you're from America or Australia, this is not special. But you should know that 70% of Japan is mountainous. It's very unique in Japan. The center city of Tokachi is Obihiro. The city itself is small, with a population of just around 150,000, but the city's attractions are just as good as Asahikawa. First up is Rokatei, the dessert store. Its main store is located in Obihiro, and there is a small izakaya street, so you can spend a day or two free. But Obihiro's biggest specialty is the pork bowl butadon. It's really good quality for around $8 or $9. Next up is Kushiro. The Kushiro city has a population of 150,000. It's similar to Obihiro. but is a port town. The limited express train Ozora comes here from Sapporo via Obihiro. Kushiro city center is even more desolate than Obihiro, but the food is much various than Obihiro. First up is Gatedon of Kushiro Washo Market. You can customize your own seafood.
Hokkaido is a must visit.
There are plenty of kaisendon in other neighborhoods, but this is not common. There's also Kushiro Shoyu Ramen, which is much softer than Asaikawa. Robadayaki is a grilling seafood over charcoal. It is also a local specialty. Finally, spakatsu or spaghetti tonkatsu is also popular.
Spaghetti
But the
tonkatsu.
main body of Kushiro travel is not city. It
I
is
would like
further
that.
north, in the great outdoors. There is the vast Kushiro Marsh just north of the city. Speaking of marsh, maybe you will think,
Just looks
why not
infinite,
see that? But when you go there, you will be surprised by the size of it. It is hard to get inside the marsh, but there are several good viewpoints along the edges.
It looks infinite, yeah.
And further north from the marsh is Akanmashu National Park. It is made up of 3 lakes and several mountains, Lake Akan, Lake Kusharu, and Lake Mashu from west to east. On the south side of Lake Akan, there is an Ainu film folk village and several ryokans. The lake is completely frozen in winter, so it's possible to camp on the lake. Kusharu is the largest of the 3 lakes. On the western side of the lake is the best viewpoint called Biroho Pass. It's really cold in the winter. The wind chill is insane, but the view makes up for it. There are several small hot springs on the eastern lake shore. Here, like in Kagoshima, the sand itself is heated by a magma. This is called a tsunayu. In winter, there are many swans too. Finally,
That's
the
nice.
blue lake
I wanna see the
Mashu.
swans.
This is the most isolated and mysterious lake because it's completely surrounded by mountains. You can see it from the observation deck and then go back down. Between
That's
Kusharu and Lake Mashu, there is ever smoldering sulfur hot spring of Mount Ito. It makes Tsunayu hot. Nemuro is the easternmost city of Hokkaido. It is a small city with a population of less than 30,000 people. It's also the smallest of Hokkaido's regional center. It is the only major city in Hokkaido that is not served by a limited express train. Nemuro's downtown is much less vibrant than Wakanae, but Cape Nosapu on the eastern end of the island has its share of visitors. It's the easternmost point of Japanese main islands. Nemuro Hanamaru, a tasty sushi chain, started from here too. And the area in between, from Kushiro to Nemuro, in the vastness of Hokkaido, this is probably the most desolate area. Rolling hills inland and cliffs along the coast. In between, there are some spectacular lookout points. Cape Kiritapu is home of wild sea otters. You can admire their extreme cuteness from afar. My favorite spot here, though, is Cape Namida. It is where you feel like you are alone in the world. There are many more grandiose viewpoints than this one, but that many have such a lonely feeling. Abashiri is the center of Hokkaido's northeast region. It is the terminus of the limited express train Ohotsuku from Sapporo. It's a port city, but there is also impressive 4 east lakes right next to the city. There are ryokan and campers along the beautiful lake shore. And the Abashiri prison is a great exhibit on the history of Hokkaido's development.
This I would definitely want to visit. I mean, again, because of Golden Kamuy, right? Because I'm such a fan of that anime, right? But yeah, there's a lot of like stories about Abashiri prison in that show. So yeah, I would be interested in that.
Using convicts to construct railway is a bit like Siberia, but Abashiri's real content is the late winter drift ice. You can go out to the sea on an icebreaker and see it up close. Shiretoko Peninsula between Abashiri and Nemuro. This is also a national park, Shiretoko National Park. As you follow the plains south of Abashiri, you will see the magnificent mountain ranges runs eastward.
Beautiful.
This is Shiretoko. This is the observatory of Road to the Sky. It is at the way to Shiretoko.
Wow, this road is infinite. I mean, that's the most like infinite road. Just you can't see the end. In Hokkaido, I have to avoid brown bear. Yeah. I mean, isn't there bear in everywhere in Japan? I think.
The main attractions of Shiratoko National Park are mostly clustered on the north side of the peninsula. Oshinkoshin Fall. Shiragoko. Goko means 5 lakes.
Okay. Deals.
Kamoiwaka Onsen Waterfall deep inside. This is also the best bear habitat in Hokkaido. The Shiragoko guided tour will stop immediately if you encounter a bear. Route 334 through the peninsula is also very scenic. There is an amazing viewpoint for Mount Laosu. Shiratoko Peninsula is also completely different in summer and winter. The mountains and the sea are covered with white color. The magnificence of the sea is hard to match. Even the largest snowy lakes of inland don't. And here, you can actually walk on the drift ice. It's a different experience from the icebreaker. But there are also coasts for winter. Some activities and roads closed during the snow season. No such thing as a free lunch.
In Hokkaido, no one keeps the legal speed of car because the road is just a too long line. I mean, I guess that makes sense. I mean, if there's no police radar, right? Fair enough. I understand.
Okay, let's recap what you learned today. A quick summary of Hokkaido, Japan.
$65% mainland, yeah. Northern, Eastern, Southern, Central. Sapporo. Lake Toya is pretty cool. I could have said, I'd be interested for the history, yeah. Oh yeah, Goryokuji I want to see, yeah. And the single tree. I guess most people live on the side and in the middle is really just wildness and wilderness.
Yes, this is it. Now you learn about basic things of Hokkaido. Now I'm sure that you can read Hokkaido's map, where it is, what it is. This place where I finished this video is Daisetsu-san National Park. And thank you for watching this long video. Thank you again.
Okay. Well, that was very nice.
Hello everyone.
I would say that was a really good complimentary video from the first one, yeah. Oh, konbawa. From Wakanai. Oh, where is Wakanai? Let's see. I don't really know. Wakanai? Hokkaido? Oh, it's over here. Okay. Konbawa. Hello. It's at the top. Okay. Naruhodo. Located in Soya Sub-Prefecture. Okay, well, we learned a lot from this video. I guess if I'm a tourist, I know some of the location to go to. Is the big thing, so really good video for that. Told us a bit about the food, which I have food video later on into the playlist. Really informative. Thank you. Hokkaido, people claim that you shouldn't think that you can travel Hokkaido in 1 or 2 days. It's too big. You can search an image that it displays how Hokkaido is bigger than other prefectures. I mean, it is very big. Like you were saying, it's 65% of England, right? So I understand it's very big, yeah. I understand. And you probably have to go like around too, because in the middle is like a lot of wetlands, so it makes sense it would be a long time, yeah. I mean, you take the time to visit it, yeah. Okay, so that was nice. Okay, so this is a continuation of this live stream. Some of you may be a bit confused, but I'll give a bit of context. If you're wondering why there's a cut and my layout looks different, it's because I had, this was done on live stream, and something happened during the live stream where basically, I guess I got like a community guideline strike on YouTube, and I think I know why. It's because we're watching video like this basically, with the window being pretty big and my face being small. For me, I thought it was a cool layout for the stream, but I guess YouTube considered it a re-uploaded video rather than a reaction. And so basically I got a community guideline strike, which means that right now I cannot upload or live stream. But I still kind of want to finish this very first, exploring Japan prefecture stream. So yeah, I'm going to finish it right now myself. I'm not live anymore, I cannot go live. I will deal with all the fallout of all this after I finish this, but I kind of want to finish it. So you guys might basically see this part after a big cut. I'm probably going to have to cut out a good amount of what was on the reaction stream. I think basically I'm going to cut out the part where I was reacting to animal videos, the wilderness of Hokkaido. I think that's the video that got the stream blocked. So that video will not be part of what you're watching right now, even though there was something on the live stream. And in the same way, I'm basically not going to do the next two videos I was planning to do, which is about food. I'm going to avoid risking it, So the rest of this video right now, which was a live stream, is going to be me looking at a website and then Google Map a little bit. I still want to finish this very first Japan prefecture, project, even though this is kind of a mess now, and it's not what I was hoping for. I was so happy about starting this new content for the channel, but now, I got a community guideline strike, my channel cannot upload or anything, and it's not the greatest start for this project. I'll just have to try to change it for next time. Maybe no video. We'll have to explore like websites maybe, but no videos, yeah. Anyway, so I figure what we could do next is take a look at foods maybe. I believe I could find like an article about food to look a bit at some of the food of Hokkaido. Let's see. Foods of Hokkaido. Let's see. Hokkaido food guide on the site, Japan guide. Seafood. The seafood is very renowned, yeah, not surprised. Is there like an individual dish? I would like a list of individual dish maybe. Hokkaido, Japan for food lovers. 6 delicious things you must try. Let's take a look at this. Take a real cooking class on a farm. Nothing beat learning to cook in the very heat of Hokkaido countryside. We spent 2 magical hours on a farm with the amazing Itadakimasu company. Interesting. Wait, but I'm looking more for like an actual list of food. Let's see. Foods of Hokkaido top 10 maybe. This is becoming more scuffed. I was so prepared for this, but now that this turned out like this, I'm a bit, unsure. Akishi, it's some wine. Distillery. Oh, here we go, food. Drinks, I don't drink, so I don't really know if I can comment on it much. So, the Kyodo Gakusha, cheese, Sakura, Kamikawa, Japan. The Kyodo Gakusha is a Japanese cooperative and social organization founded in the 70s, bringing together agriculture. Wait, it's not actually listing the food, what it is. I think this is company. Okay, this isn't the site I was looking for. Maybe this? I don't know. Means top 10 food to eat in Hokkaido, Japan. Okay, we found something that looks more like what I'm looking for. So ramen, of course. Is there a lot of like interesting ramen? Ramen is a Japanese noodle soup dish with wheat-based noodles served in soy sauce or miso flavored broth. It is usually served with slice of pork, seaweed, and bamboo shoot. Ramen is a specialty of Hokkaido, and the popular version is the miso ramen that is mainly found in the capital of Sapporo. However, during my visit, I also dropped by the Kamikawa district that is famous for the special Asaikawa soy sauce ramen. I'm salivating. There are a ton of ramen shops all over Hokkaido. Yeah, okay. There's even like a ramen village in Asaikawa. Yeah. Then crabs. I don't know if I've ever eaten crabs. As I said, I tend to not be a big fan of seafood, or at least when I was younger, and then I never really tried eating more seafood. So, yeah. You cannot go to Hokkaido and not have canny crabs. The island is renowned for them, as the cold weather surrounding it offer the best conditions for high quality and fresh seafood. Plus, the Hokkaido crabs are relatively cheap and absolutely delicious. There are usually 4 kinds of crabs found in the region: Anasaki crab, the king crab, the horsehair crab, and the snow crab. Interesting. I mean, again, I should give it a try if I ever go to Hokkaido. You know, it's like, when I was younger, like, I really decided I don't really like seafood, so I don't really like try seafood these days, but maybe I would if I gave it another try. Maybe. Uni and Ikura donburi. We know that Hokkaido is famous for its seafood, and other than crabs, the other must-try are the uni, or sea urchin, and ikura, salmon roe, yeah. Salmon roe I think I like. These seafood are highly celebrated, and the best way to sample them is by having them all in a donburi, rice bowl. Oh, I see. And you can find that in Sapporo Neji Fish Market. Okay. Curry. I mean, curry feels like one of those things that's like big in all of Japan, right? But it's curry soup, yeah. Curry is pretty popular in Japan, and in Hokkaido, their local Sapporo specialty is the curry soup. The curry has sweet and spicy taste, the best, and it's filled with a choice of meat, chicken or pork, and Hokkaido's fresh produce like broccoli, melon, carrots, aubergine, and mushroom, and eaten over rice. Okay. To be honest, I'm not a big fan of stuff like broccoli and carrots, so I don't know how much I would like this one, but I would give it a try, at least. Oh, next we have the one that was mentioned in a video, which you may have seen if I didn't. I have to remove it. Genghis Khan, or Genghis Khan. This one, where's the name Genghis Khan though? Genghis Khan, locally pronounced as Genghis Khan, is a grilled mutton dish that is popular in Hokkaido. The meat, either fresh or frozen, and vegetables are grilled over a dome-shaped metal skillet in the middle of the table. Once the meat is done, it is dipped in soy sauce based, deep and eaten straight off the grill. The meat has a rustic and heavy and hearty taste. But why is it called Genghis Khan though? Like, I don't think he came to Japan to make this dish or something. So like, I don't know what the context is here, yeah. Soba noodles. Soba translates to buckwheat in Japanese, but we know it as the Japanese thin noodle made from buckwheat flour. It is famous in Japan and all over the world, and Hokkaido is the biggest buckwheat producer in Japan. So, well, better to have soba, yeah. I mean, it's another one that feels like the kind of thing you could probably find all over Japan, right? So it doesn't feel maybe like as unique to Hokkaido, right? But I'm sure it's very tasty. Ice cream. Ice cream on a melon? Maybe it's good, but that's interesting. Hokkaido is famous all over Japan for its dairy products, thanks to the vast countryside and farmland. So when in Hokkaido, go crazy over the milk, the yogurt, the cheese, and especially the soft serve ice cream. It's kind of crazy though, like super cold place, but you're still like eating ice cream. Ice cream stores can be found almost everywhere on the island, and they come in different flavors. Make sure you do not miss the milk and melon flavor. My most memorable ice cream moment was when I had milk ice cream served on top of half a Yubari melon. Okay. Maybe it's good, I mean, it sounds kind of interesting. Yubari melon, which looks very much like a devil fruit in One Piece. Probably the inspiration. Hokkaido produce is just as synonymous to Hokkaido as its dairy product. With extensive farmland, quality soil, and favorable climate, the region is known to grow the freshest produce like wheat, corn, potatoes, asparagus, and melon. And Yubari melon is one of the best one, right? Oh, it costs a lot though. Like $24 for 1 melon. That's actually kind of crazy. Like the normal melon that I know in France and I would buy at the store would be like, I don't know, like 2, 3, 4 euro or something. I can't imagine buying 1 melon for $24. But I guess it's maybe kind of rare, yeah. I don't drink, but maybe this. Beer is popular in Japan, and the birthplace of beer in Japan is Hokkaido. Really? Interesting. Sapporo beer is the oldest and most popular beer brand in the country, first introduced and brewed during the Meiji period in 1877. So for an introduction of the history of beer in Japan and the brewing process, as well as the taste of Sapporo beer straight from the tap, head on to the Sapporo Beer Museum. They have a museum. Interesting. And then snacks. Popularity of Hokkaido's agricultural and marine products. They have also been made into delicious confectionaries and snacks to be enjoyed any time of the day. Make sure you get your hand on the local Shiroi Kobito, which white chocolate cookies, rice chocolate that are manufactured in Hokkaido, Jaga Pukuru potato chips, Yakitokibi corn crackers, as well as Yubari melon flavored jelly and snacks. It all sounds kind of tasty. I think I would enjoy a lot of this. Okay, well, obviously this is like this person's personal list, right? There might be some other like unique Hokkaido only stuff, you know what I mean? But there's some interesting one, you know, like even though I don't know if I like it, I think I would give a try to the ice cream on a melon. Even though I don't know if I'd be happy with like a $24 melon or something. That's kind of crazy. Yeah, that's kind of crazy. Okay. Well, there's some good food and it's making me hungry. That's what I can say. So yeah, I mean, this is a bit of a shorter section than expected. But again, right now I don't want to risk checking out more videos. I did have planned like 45 minutes of videos about food from Hokkaido, but in this very first Prefecture stream will pass. Maybe next time I do a Prefecture stream, I will try to arrange that. But for now, I will pass and we'll stick with this. I think this will do. Okay, so next, real quick, I was thinking of something maybe a little bit silly, but I was interested. I wanted to know about like what anime take place in Hokkaido. So I find on my anime list, the main site I use for like, you know, anime and manga research. Someone made like a list of, you know, I guess pretty big work that take place there. So I figured we would take a look. And right away I recognize some. Golden Kamuy is obvious. I've talked about it, right? A lot of it take place in Hokkaido, even on the Russian island above. It's really, you know, all around that place, and it's very interesting, right? So much of Golden Kamuy is a mix of like action adventure, but also like Ainu culture and Hokkaido culture. It's very interesting, genuinely a blast to learn about all the historical stuff. Boku Dake Ge Naimashi Erased. It was a good show, I remember that one. It's someone going back in time to try to save a classmate that died when he was young. And yeah, it's mostly like in snowy setting, and I did not remember, but it is in Hokkaido, that's right. I guess there's a season of Shokugeki no Soma, which, to be honest, I don't really remember that season specifically. I kind of forget, yeah. Then one thing that kind of surprised me, because I watched this movie on the channel, but I did not remember it was taking place in Hokkaido. Yeah, Omoide no Marni, a great Ghibli movie. Not one of their most well-known, but one I really enjoyed. Where does it take place? In the countryside, yeah, it doesn't say like where in the countryside. I guess it was probably like summer Hokkaido, because I don't remember like snow in that one. But okay. Frankly, like if it's just the countryside, it's kind of hard to tell, you know. And then a bunch of other shows that I've watched, but I didn't realize were taking place in Hokkaido. I mean, Working, aka Wagnaria, is one of my favorite comedy romance anime. And I do remember that like at some moment there is a snowy city, but I did not realize it was in Hokkaido, yeah. I really recommend Wagnaria. It's kind of forgotten by now, but it's a great show, yeah. Servant Service too, What else? Oh yeah, this one is like the one that I know because it's literally like in the title, right? The Sanku Gal when Namalan Menkoi or Hokkaido Gals are super adorable. This one is literally about like some guy coming from Tokyo and going to a school in Hokkaido where there's a bunch of gyaru, and it's like a romance anime basically. So this one is like obviously in Hokkaido. There's no question about this one. This one I wasn't confused. Yeah. Okay, and Snack Busway, which is also a show I really like, but this one doesn't really show the outside. It's like it's a snack bar and a bunch of comedy characters. So, you know, I guess it takes place in Hokkaido, but it's not really the same. Yeah, I think what would be great is like Yuru Camp Hokkaido or something. Yeah, that'd be great. Okay, so yeah, there's quite a few anime that take place there. I mean, maybe not as much as other places in Japan, but quite a bit, quite a bit. Okay, that's it for this little section. Let's move on. So, next, what did I want to do? This we've done, okay. This I can close. So then I had found this website with a little list of like famous people from Hokkaido. I thought it could be interesting to see if I knew anybody in this list. So we're gonna scroll through it a little bit. Oh, a member of Nogizaka 46, Nanami Hashimoto. Okay. Musician. Oh, Miki Fujimoto. I feel like I know her. Okay. Oh, Yoshitsugu Matsuoka is one of the legendary voice actors, right? Seiyuu. Yeah, okay. Oh yeah, he's Kirito, right? Yeah, he's the screaming Seiyuu, right? Okay, so he's from Hokkaido. Yeah, okay, cool. More idols, I think there's a lot of idols. Well, that's it. Is that all there is on this page? Oh no, okay, there's more. Skier, I guess. Okuto Iboshi, Ainu waka poet and social activist. Toshiaki Tanaka, Japanese international table tennis player. Gichi Nomura, advocate and activist of the Ainu people of Japan. A lot of Ainu people makes sense, yeah. Oh, is that the manga? Oh, the mangaka of Fullmetal Alchemist, okay. Inomura Arakawa, I see. Well, that's one awesome person. Satoru Iwata from Nintendo. Okay. Miki Nagasawa, familiar, yeah. Oh, Satoshi Kon was from Hokkaido. Legendary anime movie director, yeah. Really a legend. Anya Suzuki from Love Live. Okay. Clarice, they're from Hokkaido. Awesome. Oh, fighters. Okay. I mean, I'm sure this list is not like the most perfect to who I would know, right? I see a lot of athletes and I probably don't know them, yeah. Okay. Shunpei Mizuno, a Japanese professor who used to write under the pen name Shinsui Noida Shinsui. His primary area of writing is on Korean culture. He has also published instruction book on Korean learner of Japanese. Okay. Fair enough. An artist. Mai Goto. I feel like I know her, but yeah. Anybody else that I might know? To be honest, there might be some people I know. Oh, Monkey Punch. He's a big manga artist, right? Yeah, Le Pion de Cerne, that's right. He's from Hokkaido. I see. Okay. Oh, there's no more image. Okay. Well, I guess we'll leave it at that. There's more, but yeah, I won't know most people, right? Okay, well, there's a few people I know, from anime director to mangaka, so there's that, voice actress too, and singer, yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's like people I know from every prefecture, right? But I have to find them, yeah. Well, that's a nice little list, I would say. A nice little list. Okay, and the final thing I was thinking of doing on this first stream / video now, I guess, is just, doing a little bit of like looking around on Google Map, basically. Just a little bit of like virtual tourism, just taking the views of different places. For example, I don't know, if I go right in the middle. Oh, we're in Kamikawa, Hokkaido. Quite the mountains. Quite the mountains. I just wanted to explore a little bit. Nice bridge. Yomenai, but something about deers, I guess. Maybe like a forestry service around here. It's a nice little town. Very like, nice little village, very like surrounded by the mountain, yeah. It's kind of nice. It's kind of nice. Let's zoom in a little more, yeah. Let's see what I can drop in the middle of nowhere. How about here, for example? Oh yeah, it's very middle of nowhere for sure. The lighting is different. What is that? I don't know. Some little box. Oh, bridge. Oh, but it's closed. We can't go to the bridge. Okay. Okay. I mean, very remote, as expected. It's kind of hard to tell what this is. Let's see. How about here in the snow? Oh, it's not the snow, okay, it's a mountain trail. Got it. Can we go up and see the view? Wow. That is a view. You know what, I should go full screen like this. It looks quite nice. It looks quite nice. And this person who came here must have been the only person for a long time, trying to go to the top over there. I feel like the top is getting farther every time. Okay, we're getting there. Here we go. We're at the top. Man, it's quite a landscape, huh? Can't read that. It's very desolate, that's for sure. There's another national park here. Could be interesting to see the tip over there. Oh, I managed to get on a boat. How do I get off the boat? That's not what I wanted. I don't want to be on the boat. Okay, so I guess it's fully a boat ride next to the island. You know, from like this shot, this looks like Jurassic Park. I mean, you can't tell me it's not a bit of Jurassic Park. Yeah. And on this side, is it on land? Okay. There's an actual road here. Yeah. It's so... like, there's really an appeal to this kind of like... not desolate, but so countryside... kind of lost location, right? I think it's pretty cool. Must be a lot of landslide here for this kind of wall, you know, protecting the place. Okay. How about here? Oh, nice bike. What is this? Abomai post office. So we're in Abomai. Okay. Nice little post office. Always the key truck, right? They're like almost a symbol of Japan, right? You can't miss them when you go to Google Map like this. Yeah, this is a pretty empty place. A pretty empty place. How about we go... visit a bigger city like, I don't know. But Hakodate. Let's look at Hakodate a little bit. It is an historic place, right? Oh, what is this building? Maybe it's a hotel, I guess? It's maybe an hotel, yeah? Let's go this way. This way. Okay. It's kind of interesting from picture to picture, like the trees being there or not. Alright, alright. You can really tell like there's different business. This is maybe like a restaurant, I guess. Dining, take out, delivery. Maybe it's from the other side because I can't really see from here. Oh, vending machine. What do they sell? Fanta, Coca-Cola, Suntory. I know that from the Yuga Gotoku games, right? Let's go this way. Oh yeah, bigger street. That's nice. So it's kind of fun to explore Google Map like this, right? I wonder if there's like more interesting part of the city I could try to drop in. Why does it look like this over here? Is it like farmland over here? Oh, it's like this, yeah, okay. I see. It's very, very open. So the city is very concentrated toward the sea and then like ton of farmland in here. And yeah, it's all the mountains, right? Yeah. Oh yeah, that's very mountain. Well, this house looks so much like one of the houses in the chill out horror game, doesn't it? Alright then. You know what, I'll exit. It's a bit annoying the fading in out effect. Where could we drop in? Airplane. There's a shrine over here. Oh, right here. Can we go to the shrine? There has to be a way to do it. Maybe I need to click on the shrine directly. Can I drop directly onto the shrine? Yeah, here we go. We're inside. I did. Oh wait, I left again. Like for the thumbnail, you've probably noticed, but well, actually, now that I think about it, because the stream was deleted, I might have to remake the thumbnail. But I did use like a. Oh, sorry. I did use a shrine. I don't know if this is the one I used. Oh yeah, this might be the one I used actually. If I still have the same thumbnail, this is the shrine I used. I think the Yukura shrine. Okay. I wonder what the history of this one is. Any information? Small shrine in a row of lead to the gate, known for dispensing fortune tied around paper squid. Okay, okay. And then the other thing I use for the thumbnail is the Sapporo TV Tower, right? If again I still have the same thumbnail because I might have had to remake it. Let's see the TV Tower. Oh, am I inside? Is this inside the tower? Okay, how do I get out? Oh wow, that's a view. This is kind of a creepy way to look in. Wow, the stairs. I'm stuck. Let me out. Can I look inside this? Probably not. Oh, the stairs. And the elevator. I don't really know how you change floor or like this, I think. Wait, maybe I can't actually go to the top of the tower or something? Let's go back outside, I guess. The Sapporo TV tower. Oh, this is still inside. Where's the outside? I'm still inside. If I go here. Okay. We've managed to get under it. Now we just need to find a way to see it. Here we go. Oh, it's by Panasonic. Okay. Interesting. Okay, well, it's not that big. It's probably not like, it's not even close to the Tokyo Tower, right? I assume. I mean, it's still pretty big, you know. Even myself, like as a Frenchman, I've never been to the Eiffel Tower. But I've seen it from far away, you know. I guess it's like a skyscraper, kind of big. Okay. Okay. Well, to be honest, I don't really know where to drop in Hokkaido. Maybe for the next time I do something like this, I will announce in advance what prefecture I do, and people can tell me like what locations, take a look in Google Map. This could be an easier way to do it, because right now, like, I could drop in at random, but, you know, Abashiri, right? But I don't really know where to look that much. But there's some cool place to look at. There's some cool place. Let's go to Abashiri prison. Oh, I guess it's a town. It's not just a prison, right? Where's the prison though? I don't know. Yeah. Again, this was the first stream, and frankly, it was supposed to go a little bit better, and I'm ending this in a video rather than a stream. It's much more of a mess than I expected, so, you know, we still learned quite a bit of the history of Hokkaido that I didn't know, so I think I will leave it at that. I did enjoy it, and, you know, despite the little mess that it turned out, Hokkaido is pretty interesting. If I ever visit Japan, I think I'd like to go to Sapporo and Hakodate. The rest of Hokkaido, potentially, it depends on like how long I'm in Japan or something, right? But at least Sapporo and Hakodate, I think those two places would be worth it. But beyond that, I'm not too sure. But again, I learned a lot. And it's also interesting that we started with the last prefecture to become a prefecture, the 47th, right? So yeah, I think next time I'll be Kanagawa, because before the stream went down, people were voting for Kanagawa, I think. Yeah. Anyway, again, I appreciate any of you who watched this. I'm sorry that this is a bit of a mess. You have to watch it as a video rather than a VOD right now. I'm hoping that the second time I do this, it will go much smoother, and I will not have any problem like this. Hope you nonetheless enjoyed. You'll find a link to everything I checked out in the description. And yeah, don't hesitate to tell me in advance some info and things I should look up for, let's say Kanagawa, the next prefecture I'm gonna do a stream on. As always, like, subscribe, comment, channel to the crew. Yoroshiku onegai shimasu. I'll see you guys next time. See you.